Hello and welcome, listeners, to another episode of Tactical Awareness. It's Season 3, Episode 28. We are in O12 territory with our second sectorial coverage of Heroes to Zeros, the show where we make army lists, talk about the profiles we like, and why we think they're key to the faction, and then wrap up any things that we overlooked or that we may have missed at the end. So let's dive in with my co-hosts, Owen and Dan, and get this episode underway. But you went 5 games at Carbonite with these guys, and won against me, but didn't win against me.
I was so close to winning against you.
You were so fucking close to me. That game, I pulled out of my ass completely.
On your guy,
I know. That fucking gate, like that gator, the gator on a building. Jamie almost ruined my entire life. I had such a good turn 1, and then what was it? You stuck me with like a random Moonraker at the end of that game, at the end of my first turn, and the gator was standing on top of a box, stuck, and I failed that whip check with the Wildcat to fix him. The Wildcat was right there, and he had one fucking job, and he couldn't fix the gator. So I started turn 1,
but it didn't
with the
matter
gator paralyzed.
When Jamie came in and walked up, you're like, I needed 2 to reset or to dodge. Roll the 1.
Yeah. It was tremendous. I have no regrets.
You would have died so much faster if you were continue to dodge on like 6s, and I was just
so
free shot on you.
Yeah,
would have saved you like 3 orders.
That plasma rifle was terrifying.
I killed 2 tags with that plasma rifle.
You did. You killed my tag with that plasma rifle. So, hey everybody, welcome to Heroes to Zeros. We're on to O12 now, and we are talking about Torchlight Brigade, which I haven't yet to play. I've not played 1 game with this faction, but Owen and Dan both have. And as you can hear from the recap, I've played against it, but not as it. So this is the game in which we make lists, and we're going to start with Dan today because he's our current veteran Torchlight player. And this dovetails nicely because the first time we ever did a faction review was O12 when you started playing Infinity.
I had no idea.
So we've come full circle.
I still don't have any idea what's going on.
The snake is but the snake is now eating its tail episode wise because we've come all the way back to the beginning, and everything time is a flat circle, and everything we've done.
And we've still skipped other factions and haven't done them yet.
Well, Owen refuses to do Toha. I keep trying to slide Toha in onto the door, and he keeps like sending it back saying fucking wrong address.
We're not talking about artichokes. They're out of catalog.
Yeah, they're out of catalog.
You can't buy them, so why would we talk about them?
We talked about US Ariadne, that's why.
Yeah, because they're still in stock in places. People didn't buy US Ariadne.
Toha was in stock as of last fall. They had a big Toha sale, remember?
It's true, they have a box, but then they're out of catalog.
Yeah, it's a box that isn't enough to play the army.
Everything's out of catalog. All right, so US Ariadne is barely an army. Okay, all I'm saying is you're equivocating. So, damn,
at least they're part of a.
Stop it! Stop it! Okay, Dan.
So Torchlight was one of those, like, I don't know if I'm excited about this, but it's O12, so I got to play it because it was my first faction, and I'm a collector, and I got to collect everything. And it's like, okay, I already played Invincible Army, and so it's like I know what it is to play heavy infantry. And then I instantly made a list with basically no heavy infantry because I wanted a style of more O12.
Can we talk a bit about that? Because when they came out, the faction box for them was basically all Space Marines. Like it was the Silver Stars. It was,
and that's how I played them because that's all that was out.
Because that's all that was out, and then remotes, obviously, because they mixed in the remotes from O12. But like you were kind of forced to, and then they had all these other cool profiles you couldn't really use in the beginning. Like, I don't think the Nimrods came in the box set. What was in that? What was in that
Nimrod, box set? Kludger, Wave Rider, Moonraker, Stormbot. Like
those are all not in the box. Striders, the Yellow Jackets, Rovers Prime, and Hellblazers are all in that box.
Are in the box set, yeah. That like 8
all
box
solid.
Set.
All you probably want to play.
Yeah, and all like linked on the fire team chart. Like literally, I guess you get Kappas too, so you could roll over the Kappas from O12. But like. Cap. Yeah, the Raven Eye and the Kappa you can both have, and I think that's it really. And the Psychop and the Jackboot, those are rolled over from the main one. I guess in Hippolyta too, but like that box set was basically a single fire team because the main Silver Star fire team is like everybody. It's anyone with the name Silver Star, so that means the Prime.
Well, not anymore. No primes. Primes aren't linkable.
No, they used to be.
Aren't they a Silver Star?
No, they are, but they're not in there.
In 4, they were linkable but didn't have the tag, and now they're not linkable at all.
Oh, because
I gotta go make some edits.
I thought the Rovers and the Prime both counted as Silver Stars because it doesn't say Silver Star, but it doesn't say Silver Star Rover in the fire team list. It just says Silver Star.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that means.
I thought that meant anything with Silver Star in the name. I thought it was just anything with Silver Star in the name. I'm pretty sure it's anything with Silver Star in the name.
Maybe it does.
If you click on it in the link, it just goes to Silver Star Rovers.
So like,
yeah, but there's no way to have a link go to two places, right? Yeah. I don't disagree with you.
I mean, Silver Star Prime. I mean,
also the Silver Star AVA is 5. No, you're right.
Definitely make
the Silver Star AVA is 5 as well.
I'll bring my unit of 5 primes. Right. We got it.
Yeah.
Also, that
was confusing to me though,
because in N4 they were a separate line, and now Silver Star has stayed exactly the same, but Prime has been removed.
Yeah.
So.
Don't worry, I'm sure it's completely clear in Spanish.
There was a very clear reason why the Silver Star Prime fell out of grace in my book, and that was it, because you can't link them. Like extra burst, extra BS.
He's pretty much good enough without a link, but there's a lot of other good stuff in this faction too. So anyway,
I'm immediately altering my list, so thank God we asked that question.
You have time.
I do have time. I'm pulling a Dan. I'm the Dan of this episode.
I'm the captain now.
I'm the Dan now.
So the list I'm sharing was my main list for Carbonite. So I guess we've talked about it briefly before.
We did.
It was so much fun to play. And I still think it's a super strong list, even with everything that's changed. Like turrets have been nerfed since then, and super jump has been nerfed since then. But I just like it because it's such like an alternate list that it's not obvious when you start playing Torchlight. And I kind of came into it, and I really, really love the style. So you start with a Nimrod and 2 Kludgers in a Harris. You get the Kludger Doctor and you get the Kludger Engineer. The Nimrod is, of course, the AP Marksman with EM Carbine. MSV2, Super Jump. Kludger Doctor, Submachine Gun, but also Adhesive Launcher Rifle, which is kind of a sleeper because sometimes in ARO, that thing, they're like, oh, it's just that guy over there. And like you're trying to move the board. And they're like, oh, you get an Adhesive Launcher. And you're like, no, you can't. They also all have Mimetism 3. So 2 Kludgers and Nimrod, all Mimetism 3, all Super Jump. And then the Nimrod has MSV2. It's just a really, really fun Harris. The Engineer has Panzerfaust, which is awesome, but more importantly, it has decharges for objectives and a Disco Baller. So Disco Ballers to help make sure you get up the board. Alternatively, you could drop a Kludger for Hippolyta, but then you have to find 15 points somewhere else. And the Moonrakers are really important for other things we'll get into. Next, we have another fun Harris or I guess one of the cores can be interchangeable with Harris, is another Kludger with 2 Cyclops. So 2 mobility Harris core. So the Cyclops, I'm bringing a 30 point, both of them being, because I don't need the Disco Ballers from them. So they're both the MSV1, also Mimetism, multi-marksman rifles. They got Nanopulsar +1 burst, and they got Thunderbolt turrets. So basically, as you move up the board doing things, you lose 8 inches of movement as you're walking, but then you get 2 Thunderbolt turrets that are just, if you don't have something to do with it, they're really annoying. Worst case scenario, you're exchanging orders. So I spent 2 orders, you have to spend 2 orders. That's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, they don't kill it, or they kill something else, or they have to spend more orders running around or dropping smoke or all these things. Even with the turret nerf, because it's only 3 extra points for the turret, I think it's easy to bring. And again, another Disco Baller, Kludger, the Engineer. So, and then all the Cyclops are specialists, and so you have specialists at the wazoo. Then you have Ravenlight Lieutenant with +1 order, Fuzzbot Evo Hacker, and a Moonraker. And then what this list kind of hinges on is Jamie Rover, the parachutist. So you get a parachutist, you get decoy 1. I think Jamie Arantes is easily the highlight of the faction of just what a crazy profile she is. You get a plasma rifle, you get an acrolite cannon, you get a nanopulsar, and you get an armed turret combi rifle. And so you're kind of you jump into the backline as a parachutist, you got a decoy, and so you can bait out mines with the decoy, or if it's in a hacker area, you can kind of just 50-50 it or any number of things. You can come in suboptimally when you're forced to. But you also bait, people to ARO at you that are in mimetism or something if it's like tempting. So it makes things a lot more safer, and you kind of like double guess. Decoy on parachutist is wonderful. That's all I'm trying to say. But she's BS13. She's also got mimetism, so just mimetism up the wazoo in this faction. The Moonraker also has mimetism. We'll go into more Moonraker later. But yeah, Jamie Rover, Durantes. She's got armor 4, BTS 9. She's got 2 wounds. She's got martial arts, only level 1, but CC 22, so she's not going to completely fall over. And she's got NCO. And so when she comes in, she can grab the 2 orders from the Raven Eye Lieutenant, plus the 10 other orders. I guess you're spending 1 to come on the board, but you just get an insane amount of orders out of her. And so she can just rip up the entire field. For your turn 1 or turn 2, she can get work done. Raven Eye, solo in Torchlight, gets a Lieutenant +1 order, but also Hollow Mask on the Lieutenant and Hollow Mask on the Chain of Command. And so you can pretend to be any number of things. But it's nice because then you have a Raven Eye hidden somewhere. It's not super obvious Lieutenant, which is great. Fuzzbot Evo Hacker, mainly to put hacking defense on Jamie, because when you're BTS 9 and you get Firewall, you can't really hack them very well. You can isolate them, which is, decent, but they're still saving on 12s. And if you try to Carbonite, they're saving on 19s, I do believe it is. So you can't really Carbonite. You have to try to isolate. But then they're still there and they still exist. And they can still be on suppression and. So you get up in their back line and become a problem, drop the turret, go on suppression, and go, it's miserable because you can't even hack me to death. Because you fail way. It's not cost effective to try to hack them and get rid of them, so you have to fight them. So it's really fun combo. Moonraker. Oh my gosh, these the cutest little robots you ever did see.
They're such cool models. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're such cool models.
They got the little treads, and they're just like these are big fat little cuddle little monsters. And
they look like Mars rovers that have rockets on them. It's very
little
weird.
fins on the back. But they just pour off their base. You can sometimes legend has it you can actually see the base underneath them. They actually have a base. But they got 1 use camo, 4 deployment +8, and a mine layer profile. They got remote presence and surprise attack. And so with a heavy shotgun and adhesive launcher rifle, most often than not, my adhesive launcher rifle is catching people. They kind of are ARO pieces. Nice to have a mine so you don't know exactly which one it is. And you don't want to waste time because you kind of know it's a mine. Not necessarily because there's other options in the faction, but no one's going to discover shoot them because it's just not kind of worth it. But then as you're moving up, eventually you're going to come out of cover, and then the adhesive launcher tries to get you if you're a big boy. If not, you kind of just hide out, and then if need be, that heavy shotgun, that mimetism marker moving up the board, coming around the corner, surprise attack, heavy shotgun. They're only BS 11, but with that surprise attack, heavy shotgun can kill almost anything in the game as well, and does real good, and has killed many things for me that are problems otherwise.
Mm-hmm. And it lets you litter the middle of the board with -3 markers.
Yeah. Full if you don't have a lot of MSV pieces, I'm having a good time with face-to-face.
Having midfield markers is always good.
Yeah. Second group is just 4. You got a flashball spot. You got the tack aware combi, right? The forward observer bot. That's 18 points. Well worth it. Does so many things. Just really good at objectives. Run forward, grab something, run back. Warcore, 6 cents, just to kind of hang out and be annoying, and another Moonraker. Like I said, the option is you could lose. You're only 14 orders with 1 irregular order, so you could drop down 1 order, drop probably one of the Moonrakers, and add Hippolyta to one of the Cludgers, and then you have smoke shooting with the Nimrod, but also a secondary gunfighter and beater with that to come up and boost things. But I think I like the double Moonraker, because if one doesn't succeed, the second one can. And just the amount of things I have immobilized with the adhesive launchers is insane. And it just changes the game. And it's awesome. So it's like,
Can't go wrong.
it's a very non-obvious list.
Not really.
Super fun. And with 2 disco ballers. Yeah, I mean, that Fuzzbot just goes, Jamie is unhackable. And then I had one game where I think she spent 9 orders shooting at a lizard and finally taking it down. And every single order I was in hacking.
Yeah. You just ignored it.
You just couldn't hack.
Like, yeah,
it was against nomads, and they just couldn't get me. And he was kind of rolling shady, but that was also before the FAQ where even if you were isolated, you could use the NCO and use lieutenant orders. Now you can't anymore.
Yeah. It's a. I mean, BTS 9 is no joke, but then Firewalled, it's bananas.
Finish my thoughts. Torchlight's tons of fun. I love Torchlight.
They kind of do everything. We can talk about this at the end, but they really do have all the new toys, right? Like when the turret game was happening, they had turrets. They got disco ballers with the wazoo. They have an Albedo fight piece, which I noticed you didn't use, but we can talk about later. Mm-hmm. Like they kind of have. They got a flyer, obviously.
They have 2 of the best hackers high-fiving together because they have access to a combat instinct hacker and then another hacker with built-in bonuses.
Yep.
Connected to a faction that gets firewalls. Like they're real good.
Yeah.
Real good.
They can duo one of the better tags in the game, or the scariest gun in the game, at least.
Yep. Strongest gun.
And their core fire team duos all the way down. A lot of 5-man fire teams only go to Harris, and there's duos all the way down. So like it means you can have just like in mine, spoilers, but I have like a heavy infantry hanging out with a killer hacker just because why not? And I get a firewall bonus on my killer hacker all of a sudden just for free. Like lots of hey, you too, of course you too. But that idea that basically they get to do all the modern stuff because we're kind of like last faction out. Like it's really evident, I think, in the list you just wrote, Dan.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so mine, I think, a non-typical heavy infantry list. I only have the one heavy infantry that's on the side, and then it's just a bunch of kind of midfielder jump around fast. And even when you obliterated most of my army, I snuck out a very, very close game.
Well, killing the gunfighters doesn't remove the fact that you have these sticky midfielders that are impossible to dig out, right? So the fact that I killed your Harris and your primary gunfighter eventually killing Jamie, like you still had all of this backfield stuff in the Vidocs and the Moonrakers and stuff that you have to remove that stuff. Like it's going to hold you from doing the objectives. I think we're playing Mine Wipe. So like I had all of this, like these mines and ARO piece little robots and stuff that I had to try and dance through to try and get to the objective. And that was no joke. Everything does the thing that it's designed to do really well, I guess would be my observation. So why don't we jump in with you, Owen? What you got?
I mean, there's a couple because I think they're just staples of 012 in that I brought Moonrakers as well. And I brought Raven Eyes as well. But then it's just completely off the rails from what Dan did. So I've got 2 Raven Eyes. One is my lieutenant plus order. And then I have my first Harris.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because there's a lot of NCO in this faction. So a +1 order cheap lieutenant kind of is a big deal in this faction because you have like one of the gunfighter pieces in Sonya's an NCO. I think all the Vidocs are NCOs, aren't they?
Yeah, Jack Boots can be NCO, Jamie and Striders.
Then Jamie. So like that, like a lot of your key pieces end up being NCO. So having a cheap lieutenant that does that is kind of no joke.
I think it's more like they know it's the Raven Eye, but the 012 Raven Eye, this one in particular has this one has the hollow mask.
The lieutenant and chain of command have hollow mask.
Yeah, so I didn't bring the chain of command one because I couldn't afford it. So my Raven Eye is going to pretend to be someone else, and then my Raven Eye is going to look like my lieutenant. Yeah. So I'd probably have him pretend to be like either a wave or not a wave rider, a Hellblazer or a digger, because both of those are like not that important to go after, and they're similar cost to what that Lieutenant Raven Eye looks like. And so it becomes a little bit less obvious because I don't need that Lieutenant order all that much, but I also didn't bring a chain of command, and I do use that order in my second group.
It's three orders for 17 points. Like,
yeah.
So I think it's weird because a lot of the options you can holomask as have like that you kind of have impetuous, and so if someone's like, "You want to use that impetuous order?" You're like, "I you can't really say I choose not to because there's never an option, and so like it gets a little weird.
That is a weird thing. Yeah, you can choose not to use an impetuous. Like, how would you say that and be?
I'm not using an impetuous order.
You could also just pretend to be a jackboot paramedic.
You could,
sure,
and that is an annoying thing. Like, you don't want to get close to it because the riot stopper is damage 6.
That's my one. Yeah.
So it's like an additional, or sorry, 7 because it's a minus
probably
7.
The optimal one to do.
And they're just that annoying to go after that you can't really like they can't be isolated. They can't be a lot of things because of that immunity enhanced.
Sure. Dan's point just stands about the weirdness of the Holomask.
Most people just don't ask, though, you know?
Yeah.
So it's fine. But if you're playing against an experienced player, then you just put it as another Raven Eye, and they assume that you're not stupid enough not to use Holomask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you ask, how many minds do you have?
Don't you technically generate an impetuous order during the orders phase, and then you wouldn't generate one, and you'd know that guy's in Holomask?
Yeah. No, because you can't generate it. So you'd sit there and go like, okay,
that's what I'm saying, right?
This Hellblazer generates an impetuous, and this one doesn't. Why doesn't he? Well, there's only one reason.
Because it's open information. That's what I'm saying. Like your opponent doesn't really have to ask.
Yeah, but you're not like staring at how much everything is. You just kind of like, you know.
It's actually worse than if you don't pretend to be a because it immediately shows who he is.
It immediately shows who he is. Yeah, in the first phase.
But anyway. First group, Wave Rider Killer Hacker with a Silver Star, Tin Bot, and Hippolyta.
The exact same thing I took.
And then,
except minus Hippolyta. I didn't take Hippolyta.
Well, Hippolyta's there because she tag teams with the other group, which is another Wave Rider, Regular Hacker, Hellblazer, and then Vidoc Sniper with MSV. Yeah. Missilebot and Warcore, because I have an incredible hacking game, because I have BS-12 linked pictures on hackers who are either under firewalls to kill other hackers or have additional bonuses to hacking. And then Warcore, because I have points. And then group 2 is anyone got their head up, I'm going to kill them with my Wrecker, along with his Buzzbots to reload my pitchers and my Mind Laying Moonrakers, because none of those other 4 guys are going to activate. And so the active turn on my turn is 6 orders to the Wrecker to kill anything with its head up, because the Wrecker is a very, like, no one in the game wants to be shot by the Wrecker.
Unless you have immunity arm.
Unless you have immunity arm. And even then, it's not great because it's a blast weapon ignoring cover with SR minus 1.
He's a light. It's weird because he's a size 6 tag. He's not a size 7, but he's armed 6 BTS 9.
Yeah, BTS 9 is
great. And then all of his rockets have AP. So you have burning AP no cover gun with burst 3. He's only BS 13, so he's not like super
high at all.
He doesn't want to fight mods. He doesn't want to fight like a MIM 6 people. MIM
but he'll fight armor stock all day. Anyone who's just stacking armor, like he will ruin Ariadne.
He gets excited when he sees the Yodam.
Yeah.
I have a decent chance of one-shotting you.
Yeah, I might actually just kill you. Holy
Here's
fuck.
A bunch of 50-50s. Yeah, it's a brutal gun because you get shot. It's damage 5 AP continuous, and you don't get cover. So you're like, oh, I'm armor 5. Oh, you mean 8?
Yeah, this fireman walking
burning
his white phosphorus cannon, just lobbing white phosphorus.
The burst 2 damage 6 chain rifle that is also AP is also pretty good.
Yeah.
It doesn't come up as often.
Yeah.
Well, extra burst 2 and
so it's 2 damage eventually. Yeah, it's 52 damage. Yeah,
and so it's good, but he's
only
chain
rifle
there.
that can one-shot heavy infantry is no joke.
Yeah, he's there just for that reach out and touch thing, and then the other groups are the ones that are going to move up. One goes on the left, one goes on the right. If I want a mod stack, Hippolyta throws smoke to cover for the Vidoc. If I want to just need to advance, I can smoke under myself, and then I'm going to shoot pitchers, and then I'm going to shoot you with my Vidoc. And if my Vidoc and my Wrecker can't do it, then guided missiles will.
How are you going to keep? So obviously the Moonrakers are really good at like putting out like a protective net. How are you going to try and keep? If you don't go first, how's that Wrecker going to stay alive? Because the other thing we didn't really
he doesn't need to.
He hates reacting. Yeah, he doesn't like reacting though.
He doesn't need to win. If he dies completely, fine. If my opponent moved forward on their turn, then they're in my range band now.
Sure.
If like that's so the wrecker just needs to go, okay, I need to ideally not die. I'll lean out just enough that if I get hit once or twice, I fail my guts and go behind cover.
Right.
But I stall an order or two. Or I might win because again, you don't want to get I might just crit. Like that always never know with the wrecker, and you might just die if you get hit by it. But the ideal defense is just Moonrakers are defending you. And then you just
that's what I was asking.
Everybody be prone. Like let them run towards you. They don't want to run into Moonrakers, and then you have a bunch of really good short range guys waiting for them. You get to run into all of my adhesive launchers and my boarding shotguns and my hacker wall and my riot stoppers and my emarats and my EM mines.
As well.
Like, yeah, I have a ton of stuff just on the board right from the get-go. And then on top of that, I have this like really offensive, I'm going to shoot pitchers into your deployment. I'm going to snipe you. I'm going to wrecker you. And I also have Hippolyta. And she can deal with a lot of those immunity arm guys that the wrecker can't, because she's got a link boosted breaker combi on BS13 and she will get the distance.
She's a wonderful gunfighter. You want to bash people with your sword, but really she's way better than
she's a really good gunfighter. Yeah. Mim 6 or 2 on gunfighter.
Yeah. And then you give her a little bit of Tinbot to just kind of help her out. I mean, she's a warband, so they're not going to like immobilize her, but to try and shred those spotlights or whatever that might get at them. But it's mostly there, obviously, to protect the Trinity SR-1 Wave Rider.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's an alternate version of this where the Wave Riders are in a different or in their own group with the Silver Star. And then I add Cludgers, and Hippolyta does like a Cludger link instead of doing 2 Silver Star links, but I like it when they're on opposite ends. They can just, you have 2 trios of we do all the things we need to do at either end of the board and a tag in the middle, and then a bunch of camo. You've got 6 camo markers you put out on deployment. 4 of them are mines, and the other 2 are mines with adhesive launchers.
Yep.
Nope, this one has been super good. I played against a similar version of this and then reiterated it, played against it, and then as it, and it's just solid. You have tons of orders, you have like tons of guns, you have direct and indirect ways of attacking people. That's it.
Tag, pitch, snipe, this list is called. All right, well, then it's on to me. I was brave enough to bring the Prime, and we should probably talk about this guy. He not being able to link anymore, that's fine. He's still a BS14, MSV1, BS Tech -3 HMG. That's PS4, so he's effectively a tag gun. Heavy Rat Slapper is a defensive piece, heavy pistol, and a shock CC weapon. He's got Courage, Immunity Shock, BS Tech -3, and Tac Aware, so he's generating 3 orders for himself. Of course, if you take him as Lieutenant, which is what I did. Then I got a Ment FTO and 2 Raven Eyes. I did not take the Raven Eye, chain of commands, because I have a Ment. Why not have a Ment if you can have a Ment? And these are my sort of midfield mine layers, because they've all got EM mines, because who doesn't love those? And then I've got Jamie the Rover Parachutist Decoy 1, which means you're always going to get there, because anytime you need to clear mines with that decoy or, pull off any kind of like border edge defense things, you can just drop that down. Decoy is a great thing. And then as long as the decoy is still alive, you also, I believe, get surprise attack for your first shot. So you can really ambush somebody with that plasma rifle. Because decoy, I think, does she have surprise attack? Oh, no, she doesn't. Never mind. She doesn't have surprise attack. I forgot decoy doesn't give us one. Yeah. No, she doesn't have surprise attack. She still has decoy, though. That's all. It's built into her. It's because it's built into her. I thought it was in the parachute, the extra skills down on the thing, and it's not there.
So we've moved past nested rules from M3. Okay,
we have. Well, except sometimes the rules are in the top bar under their stat line, and sometimes they're next to their name when you pick them in the army list, because you can have additional rules. Like there's one that has an X visor and stuff as well that you can take, which is kind of neat. I took her for all the same reasons that Dan talked about. She's a great gunfighting piece, and she can kind of handle everything in the game. Then I've got Akita and 2 Fuzzbots for 3 orders for a grand total of 23 points, 24 points, 23 points. And then a piece you guys didn't take, Sonia Lacroix, the Glowpole Marshal. This is my rule of if you can take an albedo piece, you take an albedo piece. And she is an albedo, X-Visor, combat instinct, courage, immunity shock, martial arts 2, specialist, stealth, terrain total with a multi-rifle and an emitter. And I took the NCO version because it's the same points cost as the regular version. So EMRAT, sorry. As the emitter. That's true. The emitter and the EMRAT are the interchangeable gear there. Yeah, she's just a cool albedo piece for gunfighting with a multi-rifle. And the X-Visor means she can shoot up to 32 with no range penalties. Then I've got a Vidok Doctor with a Udbot to go put wounds back on because all of my really important stay alive pieces have wounds, have Vita instead of having structure. So having a Udbot Doctor is handy. That can also sneak around with -3 and do jobs and push buttons and stamp feet. And then in group 2, we got double Moonraker Minor Layers to nobody's surprise because everybody took them. And then also no one's surprise, a Tackaware Silver Star with the Firewall and a Wave Rider Killer Hacker. Regular Hacker with +1 Burst Oblivion. So I want defensive instead of offensive, but it does mean I can Oblivion guys and try and isolate in the reactive turn. And that is that.
Moonrakers are just so insane for their cost.
Yeah, they're great. And they're cute. Like, they're just cool little, like, super remotes with treads, little wheelies. For 15 points, they're kind of you almost start there. They're almost a non-negotiable, I think, in this list. If that makes sense. Like, you don't really have a choice. Like, they're so good for what they do. They provide so much board presence with 4 tokens. I don't see why you wouldn't take them.
I'm excited to hear the reason why you don't take them, and for me to tell you that you're wrong.
In the comments, go for it. I'm sure someone will take you up on that challenge. Obviously, I can do a lot of swaps with this list, too. I could take the Killer Hacker instead of the regular Hacker on the Wave Riders if I want to. I can take the alternate version of Sonya if I want to take the emitter. So if I was going to list to this list, I probably wouldn't take a different list. I'd probably swap gear. You know what I mean? So if I'm fighting like a known tag faction, I'd swap the Sonya into the non-NCO one. So she's not as order efficient, but she has the emitter now, so she can emitter a tag if she needs to. Like if I see a chance that I'm going to fight a Marut, I'm just going to walk out with that emitter and wreck that Marut, stay with my albedo and my emitter. Yeah, so like it's generally this is one of those armies I find where even within the profiles, you can do some really cool, like almost point for point swaps and have like an alternate list. It's really easy to play because it's just gear trading as opposed to changing anything else up.
Yeah, but why didn't you bring the Firebat?
Well, because we have to leave something to talk about in the what stuff we didn't take section.
We didn't take a lot.
Didn't we take the Firebat in the last one?
No.
Did anyone take the Firebat in the last one?
No one's going to take the Firebat. He's only available here and in vanilla.
Yeah. We'll talk about him in vanilla. I'll take him in vanilla.
So my alternate list is Wreckers duoing. You can take 2 Wreckers a duo.
Double Wrecker, yeah. I was worth talking about, yeah. And do you take the machine gun one and the rocket launcher one, or 2?
I've experimented with it. Just take 2 heavy rocket launchers.
Yeah,
you think so? They're cheaper.
Yeah,
because like the HMG gives you that +1 burst only.
Sure.
Right, and heavy
you can suppress. My only thought is you can suppress.
Hit by.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Well, when you're dueling, you're already getting better because you're getting bonus dice on your arrows, which is a huge deal. Having bonus dice arrows is going to be game changing for
And if you bring a something like an engineer, they have remote presence, so they're hard to fully remove from the board.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, what didn't we take? We didn't take Kappas because you only get 1. So the zeros.
So it's like, hey, Kappa hackers are incredibly cost effective. But then you look at like the
Sci-Fi
hacker, you look at the
Wave Riders. Like, yeah.
Why would I?
Maybe the paramedic
Wave Rider killer hacker, and you brought the Kappa as a regular hacker.
But you won't do that because you bring the Psycop as a regular hacker, so you have a combat instinct hacker.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're really stretched for points, right?
Yeah, but then why bother? Like,
I'm just trying to figure out the reason why you bring.
He's like almost the same cost. So like, did you remove the Moonraker to bring him?
Well, he's twice as many points. Like, let's be fair, he's 24.
But you can fit a Kappa and a Moonraker instead of the.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh no, not quite.
Instead of none of them.
The hacker is actually.
I guess you could take the Ment hacker if you really wanted to. The basic hacking device one if you want another one that's
way too. Might as well just bring a Psycop.
A Wave Rider is 20 points, so you just bring a Wave Rider instead of the Ment. Then,
well, if I was your chain of command, if you're going to take your chain of command piece anyway, you could take the Ment and still have him be a hacker if you wanted the hacker.
So you're not bringing a Kappa.
Nope.
Probably.
Nope, he's a pure zero in this one.
You get one because he comes in the box.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, because you already have
Does it
6
come with
from
one in the
the
box?
army.
I don't think so.
Everyone has tons of hackers from other box sets.
So what's nice if you purely collect Torchlight.
I don't have any kappas.
You don't have to buy the main.
Sure. I'm just saying anyone who played O12 and is collecting this is gonna have a ton of kappas.
I don't have any Cyclops either, and it makes me sad.
That's a separate box though.
I know. I have 2 Wave Riders, but I don't have any Cyclops.
I have 3 Cyclops. I can't even use them all.
I know.
How much?
Sure.
Do that.
That is the correct response, Dan. Yes, withhold from at all times. Lambdas. No one's taking lambdas because again, you've got other Doctor Engineers, and also you don't care about turrets anymore.
The turret nerf makes sense.
Same reason.
Tinker just came out. The only cool thing with the Tinker is that they're a repeater that isn't a remote.
Yep.
And have a deactivator. But if you get Raven Eyes though, so they're just better. Basically, I've been really sold on deactivators recently. In the anti-pitcher game, because if you can get so most deactivators are on engineers or they're on all the baggage bots, but
the guys who have beer balls or disco balls.
Well, very rarely do you have a disco baller and a deactivator at the same time. There's a few, but there's.
I thought all the guys everybody who has a disco ball has one to turn it back on.
No, they don't.
No, not everybody.
Absolutely not.
Really?
Not even close. No. Not even close.
I'm super.
Maybe 1 in 5 of them do. So, like, here we could start with the Psycop who has a disco baller and doesn't get one. I mean, we can go to the Fennec guy who has a disco ball and doesn't get one. We can go to there's a lot of them.
I guess that's true. Yeah,
don't get it. Some do though. But the point is that a lot of deactivators are on either engineers, which people don't actually bring too many of, other than the cheapest ones, or it's on the Fuzzbot, and then he's susceptible to hacking. But the Tinker's not, and so is the Raven Eye. So if someone has that pitcher turn 0 on you, and you're going first, just walk your Tinker around and be like, I'm whip 19, it turns off. I'm whip 19, it turns, and just there's no save. You just remove it from the board.
It just flips them. Yeah, that's handy.
And it's better than a gunshot. Like it's more reliable than shooting them because you could miss.
It's a 95% chance. You just have to walk in a range. That's 95% chance.
And it's just zone.
The only thing it won't work on is it won't work on guys who have built-in repeaters. Like it won't work on Morans.
Right. But it works those people you're killing like that. You're getting orders out of those and things like that. This is a very cheap, very likely to succeed way of removing what could trap your that last turn where he's like, oh, I shoot a pitcher right on the other side of this wall and trap your link team. And you're like, oh, how do I get out of this? Maybe I could stealth or blah, blah, blah. Oh, the Tinker walks over and goes boop.
Just flips
what? I had a few games where my Kludger engineer with the deactivator could have gotten rid of he would have got Spotlight.
This is fine. Yeah.
If he was a missile bot, but the amount of orders I would have saved kind of trying to finagle how to get access to that pitcher without getting too many arrows. And totally worth it.
And that's one of the challenges with those engineers is they're all 20+ points.
Yeah, so whereas this guy, if you're just not you can just not take the Kidda and then move points around to get the last 4, and you could have this guy instead.
Yeah. Or now the problem for this faction in particular is you're going to have a Raven Eye, and he just does that. So you just bring the Raven Eye. It's a 1 point difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got a Raven Eye, but
there's too many other toys. It's really when you're really scraping and trying to just find some cheap orders because there's not a lot of great cheap orders.
He does get to double dip on that though because he's a repeater as well built in.
Yeah. So he gives you the defense of being a repeater on top of that.
So instead of getting the defense of the EM mine, you get the defense of the repeater. The repeater is not bad.
But really,
if you need to find a point. Well, and also if you need to find a point, he's a valid alternative to taking one of those. You need to drop down a point to fit something. You can drop a Raven Eye and take.
There's probably an argument to pretend to be a Tinker with your Raven Eye.
Sure. Yeah.
There you go. But the coolest part about the Tinker is it's got a stun pistol. There's only 2 other models in the game that have stun pistols.
War cores and
a war core.
Yeah. Well, and also all the civilians have stun pistols too.
Look, those aren't models you bring. Those aren't in your army list.
True, they're just in missions.
All right, Jack I almost shot my stun pistol the other day. It was very close. That Fide wanted to kill him, and he got it in, and I'm like, just copy, and I crit him. And it's like, oh, perfect.
Jack
Jokes
Boots.
on you. That wasn't even my real lieutenant.
They may take Jack Boots. He's an interesting profile. You get one.
I did bring them in vanilla.
PS attack SR -1 with Thunderbolts, EM carbines. +1 burst, forward observer. It's such a weird profile. Combat instinct, enhanced immunity, arm 3, BTS 3, religious warhorse. He's immune to every mod that isn't mimetism.
For whatever
His
reason,
gun is hyper dangerous, and he has an FO BS attack +1 burst, Thunderbolt EM carbine flash pulse profile for 26 points.
for some reason, this faction doesn't get the engineer jackboots. And it's a travesty.
Yeah.
The engineer jack was the best.
The 2 engineer jackboots are both great for different reasons. Basically, just whether or not you want to pay more for them. But like, they don't get the jackboot engineer. Because the reason being his emitters. And or an emitter
Look,
plus.
We'll talk about it next episode.
Yeah. If they had the engineer jackboot, I'd bring him.
He's also a wild card, which means you can stick him for the burst bonus in anything and get like an EM
and you know that's why he's not
burst.
in. That's exactly why he doesn't get it.
Yeah,
because then you'd link him with the wrecker.
Yeah,
that's what you'd be going with.
Yeah.
And that's why they didn't get the engineer jackboot because they didn't want the total immunity engineer.
I haven't brought it ever, but honestly, the jackboot NCO HMG, it's not terrible.
In this faction, it might be.
Maybe. There's all our alternatives.
There's like 3 HMGs that he's fighting against.
They have more wounds.
All right, Nimrods. Nobody took Nimrods.
I did.
Did you? Okay, never mind. I lied.
You brought the super jumping Nimrods.
Nobody took Diggers, which is a travesty.
Just go over Nimrods just briefly. Because
it's super jump MSV2.
You've got MSV2 and Mimetism, so he's a really good fighter, and super jump, and stealth, and BS attack shock, so just fun. So you can either bring a Thunderbolt guy, or +1 burst, or AP Marksman rifle with EM carbine, and I think the AP Marksman's better. You get the range on the Thunderbolt, or this is weird profile of hidden deployment, 4 deployment +8, but he only gets an AP submachine gun. And so it's kind of like
he's a weird hunting piece. He hunts at like other MS or other
but he doesn't really
stuff.
Hunt with AP SMG because he just dies to templates. So I think me and Owen talked about this like months ago, but I think that profile is if you feign weakness on one side of the board and you allow them to move up that side of the board and they park that Harris or core team that's like wants to do stuff, kind of guarding against your other stuff, and then he just comes out of hidden deployment and goes in the back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's an ambush piece. Yeah,
but it's like that's a lot of ifs.
Sure, well they have to fall for it.
They
have to fall for it and go for it. Yeah, he's a neat profile. 27 points and no SWC. But you'd have to be playing. You take him for a specific mission, like supplies, where you know someone's going to grab and then like just slightly pull back, and then that guy leaps in and goes and kills all those guys. We didn't use the handler version of Jamie or Diggers, but we don't need to talk about Diggers.
Diggers are Diggers. They're just not what they used to be, but they're still good.
No. Why does no one want to use the jump Netroid handler? The not parachute
one.
The size 4 one.
Because they're not going to make a model for it because it was supposed to be a Metroid. Like, of course,
it's a Metroid. Ball? Yeah,
of course, it's a Metroid. No, it's a little dude with the 3 teeth.
So I printed out a little Metroid model to use as Jamie before Jamie's model came out, and then Jamie's model came out, and so I just made a 50 mil base with 2 slots, and then I can put them both on the same. And then the Metroid also is a decoy, so it works out really well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Not for 50 points.
Yeah, the size 4 one.
2 points more, and I get a wrecker compared to this,
which is kind of nice.
Maybe if she was BS14.
Yeah.
It's just giving melee ability basically to Jamie, but it makes her very hard to maneuver with her size 4.
Well, you don't get the X visor. Look, well, I mean, just comparing to the other version,
it's actually just giving her guard. It's not even really giving her melee.
Like AP, because your AP PS5 CC, like it's not a good melee attack.
No.
You get martial arts 1.
22 with martial arts 1 is not a good melee attack.
So
it's like stay away.
So you pay a little extra, you get a size 4 base, which is always worse than a size 2, always. And you get 4 deployment +8 in guard. And but you lose X visor or parachutist.
Yeah.
And you pay for this. It's more expensive.
So never. No. Yeah, they're about even.
The 0, yeah. Striders, scouting forward unit.
These
None
guys
of
are
us
actually
take this
good.
guy.
These guys are great.
Okay.
This would be the like, so when we were having the discussion about the Nimrod and why you would not bring the 27.1 is because there's a 27-point Strider who's going to do almost the exact same job, only he's camo instead of hidden, but has no wounding cap, can go back into being camo, has NCO, is a specialist, is armed basically identically. He's doesn't have the MSV, doesn't have the MSV, and doesn't have AP, but he's a specialist. And he's higher armor, and he has no wounding cap. Again,
this guy's more versatile. He can get other jobs done besides.
And for half a swick and 1 point more, you get Mind Layer.
Yeah.
So like you can bring 2 Striders and 2 Moonrakers and have 4 camo hanging out as +8.
You sure can. Stormbots. Again,
Yellow Jackets.
Nobody took these guys.
You didn't even read Yellow Jacket.
Oh, we missed Yellow Jackets. That's right. Yeah,
that's how nothing Yellow Jackets.
Your combat jumping guys. They're basically Tiger soldiers.
I want them to be good.
They don't have a good gun.
Yes,
they're a MIM -3. They're a MIM -3 BS-12 arm 3 combat jumper with no wounding cap and no gun. It makes no sense.
Like he should have a Red Fury profile, you know?
Give him a Red Fury or a Spitfire profile, you'd take that guy every time. He's a great corner shooter.
Make that a breaker combi.
Yeah.
That would also work.
Yep.
And then you can have another break it up kind of like not just all arm guns.
And he's heavy infantry. He's hackable. Like, it's not great. He's very like maneuverable and he has great defensive stats, but he has no offensive capability outside of 16. And that the best is a combi rifle. Like he's either going to fight you point blank with a boarding shotgun or a combi rifle, and like
you don't. He is relatively cheap because he's playing the no wound in cap game, so he's like a 25-point drop troop specialist.
Yep.
If the specialist got the riot stopper, I think that would also be cool. Because the ability to jump in from behind with the riot stopper would be pretty nice. But
you
never take the hacking. I'd never take the hacking profile. He's just not. He's too many points. And
I mean, he's like another way. Wave riders just shoot pictures, and it kind of
that's what I mean. You don't need to parachute if you can shoot pictures, right? Like there's no argument for this guy with what else is in the list. Is what I'm saying.
Two dice on 12s. You pretty reliably throwing a picture wherever you want.
Yeah. And you're getting your fuzzbots to reload everywhere, so get more chances. All right, Stormbots, the size 4 fight bot of this faction. He's kind of like a in Nomad terms, he's kind of like a Lunicod or a what's the big one? The
Lunicod's the big one. Cyclone is
no the MSV, the other one, the one that's got the MIM -6 Mark 12.
Oh, the Vostok.
Vostok, yeah. He's one of these guys. He's armed 6 because he's got 2 structure and he's armed 3 BTS 6. So he actually fights. And then he's got a repeater.
He's a little baby wrecker.
BS
wrecker with
yeah. He's wrecker
without
a better way to put it, yeah. Because he
BS attack SR -1. He's 31 points though. The thing is he's a baby wrecker, but he's half the armor and more than half the points.
Yes.
And less structure or less
you can link them. He does get to be wild card, and you can wild card 2 of them.
Yep.
And so you can get access to a gun that is almost as powerful as the Wreckers for 29 points instead of 4, or sort of 31, because then it's just the same, but then he can't link. But for 29 points, he gets a special dice instead of a real dice, and he loses AP. But otherwise, he's actually the same as a Wrecker. So if you don't need the AP, if you're just fishing for a long range SR -1, ignores cover, linkable, pretty tough, you get a mulligan wound. Sure.
I mean, you can marksmanship him, so he's effectively BS-13.
Yeah, he's better than the Wrecker at that point if he has marksmanship.
He has marksmanship, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's solid, but it just competes with a lot of other things.
But every point you spend making him better makes him closer to just why did you take the Wrecker? Why bring him plus an Evo bot is almost a Wrecker. Why don't I just bring a Wrecker?
It's 44 points. I can just take a Wrecker instead.
Stormbot can go prone.
Stormbot can go prone.
There you go.
I have a Stormbot. I'll justify it one day.
I have one too. I'll just take yours and I can have 2.
Then we have
you give me your Psych Up.
Oh, Jesus, that started. It started. Beast Hunters. We've talked about these guys before. There's the FTO version if you want to.
They don't have any fancy
points, but there's no fancy version.
Have that extra.
There's no like Yu-Ching version with the explosive close combat weapon and all the good stuff.
The Nightshade's the same as he is in Starmada.
Yeah.
And then Hippolyta.
And then Firebat. The Firebat aerial space plane. 8-2 BS-12, Arm 3 BTS-6, Min -6, no cover, terrain total, super jump 3, jet propulsion, dodge -3. So whenever it dodges, you're -3 to hit it. So you're -9 with the mimetism. And then submachine gun +1 burst, thunderbolt +1 burst, or the same thing with a light rocket launcher for 42 points.
He's fine. He has the same problem that all the flyers have, and that is you can't disco, you can't speedball him. That's the problem. You can't speedball fix these guys because you can't get into base to base.
You can shoot gizmo kits at them. That's all you can do.
So you have to shoot it with a gizmo kit and hope it all works out. But you don't bring engineers in this faction because Kludgers can't be engineers. So now all of a sudden you just can't fix it. So
does this thing have less structure than other ones? I feel like other ones
are
more.
They're all two. They're all two.
Okay.
Or less. Or more, actually.
Or less if they
transform. The one Hawk Islam one transforms.
Yeah.
He's tougher than some of them. Like the Red Eye is the toughest at armor 6, and I think the GoPod's the weakest at armor 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like he's basically a baby Red Eye because he's got the exact same skills except for he has BS attack SR -1, but he's only BS 12, and instead of getting a Spitfire, he got a submachine gun. And
I mean,
I
almost always take a Kludger engineer for the disco baller and super jump and fun jumpiness.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of the jackboot. But yeah, you could do it with the Kludger, but you're just shooting.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, am I going to be close enough? Do I want to be around there? They probably want to be super jumping up to opposite sides of the board. Like it's kind of like,
the inability to speedball these guys. Like, I assume everyone still buys speedballs every game. The nerf wasn't that bad of a nerf. It's just less ridiculous.
Less oppressive.
It was ridiculous before. Now it's not bad. But it means that these guys, you have to have an engineer with a gizmo kit, and you have to shoot it with a gizmo kit. You can't just go, oh, shoot, my jump failed. Hippolyta got crit, and she went down. I call in a speedball Vita Pack, and my Silver Star just goes, click, wake up. Like, this guy's just screwed.
Doesn't have remote presence either.
No, it doesn't.
Do the other ones? I didn't think they did.
But it's just that Gizmo Kit's even more scary, right? Because you only get the one chance.
Yeah.
Well, unless you get a linked one, you can roll twice. Sometimes you get burst 2s and stuff like that.
Anywho, Firebat, I'm gonna get one.
I mean, we're gonna paint one, but we'll try it. It's just like I can't. I think it suffers a bad case of like there's other gunfighters that do what he does better, and are more.
The only thing he has that goes for him, and it is a legitimate thing, is that he is jump 11. Like, it's a big deal that he can jump 11 and is size 7, which means he can jump 5.5 inches straight up in the air, and then he can go with his extra 2.5, 3 inches, whatever it is for a size 7. And so you can have a model of like a full control up in the air looking down at prone people. And if they're prone hiding guys, like if your opponent was afraid of a wrecker and so he kept his head down, and then your other reserve model is the Firebat, it'll just kill all of those prone little dudes. Like
your Morans will get murdered, whatever. He's just gonna pop up on a rooftop somewhere and start killing all of them.
He'll go on a roof slightly tall, and then he'll go, I jump 5.5 inches into the air. My Thunderbolt is in good range. It's the same as an HMG, but it's only burst 3.
Yeah.
And I go 3 shots on 12s. And
assuming we're crazy enough to take one, do we take the 36.1 or the 42.1?
I think you bring the 36. You bring the cheap one.
Yeah.
I agree. The light rocket launcher is like that's when you're fighting something.
You're too close. You're getting too close. If you're gonna jump up, pop up, and shoot things, it'd be cool to like be able to pop up and splash like a fire team or something like that. But I'd still just take the Thunderbolt and then just pick them out one at a time. Be like, I come up just enough to see the first guy. I come up more to see the second guy. I come up more to see the third guy, and take them one at a time.
Yeah, and I think that's the claim to fame that the vehicles get, like all of the flyers, because all of them can
clear rooftops. Yeah,
that's their shtick, is that you need to abuse the most incoherent part of the super jump rules, which is going straight up, straight down. I almost think you should make a widget that is 5.5 inches long if you're going to do this. If you're playing games, if you're out there playing,
go 3D print
take
yourself. Go 3D print yourself a
a little
5.5 inch
standee.
thing.
Yeah. And then that way, whenever you put him up
yeah.
there, you can always see what he can see. And then like, there you
get
go.
Get a little hole for the top corner so you can shoot a laser pointer down through it.
Yeah. And then now you can see, and then and you have to stand the size 7 silhouette, which he's obviously not filling because he's a weird helicopter like the Red Eye is.
Yeah.
So the model's shorter than his actual silhouette, but it's wider than its actual silhouette. So it's just a nightmare when this thing starts moving because the reality of what it's like playing these games in person.
Yeah.
But that's what it's good for. And he does it really well. He's M6 and he's BS attack -1 and blah, blah, blah. But it's like pitcher guided missile, 36-point jumping man who I have to argue trigonometry with. Like, I don't know. Pick whatever you want.
Yeah, other lists that I've made with this faction are a lot of like Hellblazer duos.
Right.
Because when you're looking at the fire teams, we haven't really talked about the fire teams, but you have.
Well, we did the beginning with the main one because there's really only one. And then there's the Wreckers,
two mobility fire teams in my list.
Yeah, but the mobility, I'm just saying, but like there's one big one, and then the other one is just Cludgers and Nimrods or Wreckers and Cludgers. Like there's no like other big mix, right? And then the Silver Star one is everybody plus a Kappa, a Raven Eye, and a Cludger.
8 wild cards who all do very different jobs and can
Psychops,
join
Stormbots, Jack
any of those. Like they all have a very different thing that they want to do, and you can make links of guys doing different things. So like if you wanted to do the Cludger mobility team and then you decided for whatever reason that you're going to put the Stormbot with them, you could do that because he's 6'4" and maybe he can't jump with them, but at least he can keep pace when they're on the ground.
But also like the Stormbot could be an ARO piece and then you just leave him behind after he's done his job AROing.
Yeah.
And then just Hippolyta and a Cludger. Hippolyta gets the bonus, and you can do everything you want. I just like the Nimrod.
Yeah, because she's mobility and Silver Star.
Just a Hippolyta. I guess that's another option. Drop the Nimrod. But Nimrod, Hippolyta, Cludger is like perfect little Harris. But like Sonya is a Silver Star tag. Mm-hmm. And so you bring her like with a Hellblazer, and all of a sudden, or a Wave Rider, or a Silver Star.
You can't do it just with a Wave Rider. Got to have a Hellblazer or a Silver Star.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, Rover Hellblazer is the bottom. Yeah.
So like it's really easy to use the AVA 3 Hellblazers with them just kind of duoing with all the special people. Like if you were to bring Jamie Rover not parachuting, there's an argument to bring her as lieutenant because you've got NCO and you can use her own extra orders.
Yeah, and she can do it on herself. Yeah.
Yep. And she's got X-Visor. And she can link with one Hellblazer.
You give her a Rover, and then she gets the firewall off the bat, right? Like you go Rover and like HMG, and so now the very far range she can't deal. So now all of a sudden she's got the tin bot along with
and attack aware.
Yeah.
So it's like there's some really cool duos of just like heavy infantry. But then it's nice because you got the Wave Rider Killer Hacker to deal with the enemy hacking that is annoying the shit out of you as you run all these heavy infantry as well.
79 points for 5 orders and 2 guys. It's not terrible.
Pretty good. It's pretty good. And you could throw Hippolyta with the Silver Stars as well.
Yeah.
Sure can. Because she's every kind of fire team. She's got it all.
Just no wrecker. She's almost there. I don't know. I think this faction's really good. I think they have really good hacking and really good gunfighters, and they're super fast, and they all have an inflated BTS because they're part of O12. They don't have the camo game the way that other factions do. Most of their camo is like kind of garbage, like they're throwaway. Like getting shot by a, what are they called? Moonraker is like annoying. And maybe they'll get really lucky with that adhesive launcher. It's not the same as getting shot by like a Panzerfaust or a Sunduck Bot or like the crazier stuff that's out there, but it's just enough. He's just good enough.
It's the Moonraker's good against like they have a tag walking up the board or a big heavy infantry walking up the board, and you hit him with that adhesive launcher, and now they're in trouble. Because like you're not going to kill them in one order anyways, probably, even with a Panzerfaust sometimes. But an adhesive launcher. It'll ruin everyone's day.
Yeah. That's my thoughts on this faction.
Yeah, Torchlight has just been tons of fun to play, and I feel like I haven't gone through like half the iterations of types of lists that I want to try out with them. A lot of replayability, a lot of variation you can play, and solid. Yeah, and kind of Nomad players being like super pissed at your BTS9 with Firewall, and they're like, nothing works. Why isn't that working? You're like,
yeah. Except if you're married problems, she still works.
Well, what do you do?
Have an AP on your hacking device is pretty wild.
Shoot her with a wrecker.
Shoot her with
Damn, that lady's pretty scary. Firebat flies into the air and shoots down on Mary.
Time Owen takes a Firebat is when he sees Mary problems. All right. We did it. We finished another one. We're back next week with O12 Prime, the final installment of O12, Dan's original factions. We'll see you for that one in a week. Bye, everybody.